Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Casson Academy. In this session, we're going to be doing target locations in Google Ads. We're going to show you how to target your locations, how to save money by targeting certain locations, and basically how to include, how to exclude certain locations so that you're not competing against the whole world, but rather where your audience is actually sitting, how to do radius targeting, point of interest targeting, like around airports and that sort of stuff, and then also how to use your Google My Business to enhance your location-based ads. So that's the session that we're going to be covering today in this course. So we're going to jump straight into the campaigns. This is a campaign level option. In other words, when you want to change your locations, you always want to do it at campaign level. So if you click on your Google Ads, and you have the ad groups which stack down below it, the campaign level, you'll always see locations as one of the sidebar options. If you go to an ad group, you'll notice that the locations option is gone. So if you want to have two campaigns run in two different locations, then it has to be a campaign. You can't have ad groups, one in Cape Town, one in Durban, and so on and so on. So from a campaign level, you want to make sure that you are targeting those campaigns. Okay, so we're going to show you now how to do that, and we are going to dive straight into it. So just make sure you're on campaign level. So you go to campaign level, you'll notice there's the locations options. That's not where we're going to change the locations. We're going to do it under the settings tab. You'll see down here, fifth one down, there's a locations option. And then you get a drop down. So these are locations that I'm targeting, but just for the sake of everyone here, I'm going to remove every single location and start over. We want to use the advanced option. And you can see there's a bulk option, or you can manually start to add in locations. So if your business is located in Bryanston, that's probably where you want to start. You just type in Bryanston, and you target. You'll see there's a blue highlight around the region that you are targeting. If you're not too sure what's next to Bryanston, or if you want to exclude Bryanston, it will turn red. So blue means you're targeting that area, red means you're excluding that area. If you've made a mistake, of course, you can remove the area too. So just keep in mind that if you have a business that does cater to a certain area, it's always best to just target that area. The wider your reach, if you have a flower shop and you want to target the whole of Gauteng, well, do you deliver to the whole of Gauteng? So just keep that in mind with the campaigns. You only want to target to where your audience is. What you never want to do is target the whole world. Never a good idea, because it creates competition. There's a lot of people in the whole world, therefore your ads are going to be a lot more expensive. So we're just going to go through some quick targeting here. We're going to target around 4 ways. I have a list for you guys that which I'm going to provide in the video below, which will help you to bulk add all your locations. So here you can, if you know your area well, you can start to look for the bigger names. You can see here it says Lone Hill. Google doesn't always do it right. Lone Hill is actually a single word, but that's the way that Google's picked it up. So we need to type in here Lone Hill as 2 words. And then target. And then just look for the next big one. Sometimes Google doesn't pick up a region. So if I type in Magaliesig, it's probably not in here. You can see it actually falls under the Bryanston option. So it doesn't cover every single area, which is why we're going to show you how to do the radius one as well. Some areas overlap. So if I put in Sandton, you'll see that it overlaps both regions. But you really do want to define every single location. There's a reason for it. if you don't define the location, you can't bid adjust that location. So what I mean by bid adjustment is I can actually go in later on and say, I want to put 20% more spend in Lone Hill because it's defined. I want to spend 50% less in Bryanston because it's defined. So you always want to define your areas, and you basically move along. There's North Riding in there. Let's take a look. There's no North Riding, but there is Randburg, and that covers that whole area, and so on. Make sure you don't do something like that and target something in Poland. That's not going to help you much. Okay, and let's do Ravonia. Anything that's basically close by. Okay, so when you zoom out, you'll be able to see what your targets are in the general area. Now, if there's something in there that you don't want to be ranked or seen under, for example, I don't want to be Parktown. Let's see if Parktown comes up. Okay, we just exclude it. Or I don't want to have Midrand. We exclude it. It guarantees that you won't be showing in that particular area. So if something overlaps, for example, if you get a blue and a red, like what's happening here, the red always takes preference. If your exclude always takes preference over your include. So you can see here the red is overlapping the blue. This part of that target will be excluded. Okay, so just make sure that your red's not overlapping where you want to be. You don't have to exclude all the regions where you're not targeting unless you start seeing search queries around them. So if you start getting traffic from Rudaport, then maybe you want to exclude Rudaport because there's some overlap somewhere in here and you want to take it out. Okay, so next thing I'm going to show you, by the way, once you add your targets, you want to save, and then you want to go back into it to do your radius targeting. So let's say my business is in Fourways, somewhere around here. I can target the radius. We can change it to kilometers, and I can say I want to go 5 kilometers around my business. So I'm going to use the pin drop, and I'm going to say I want to cover this Lanceria option. Oh, not 20 kilometers. Let's do 5. Okay, and you can see it makes a little circle around there. You just say target. This is to help you fill in all the gaps. If there's any gaps in there anywhere, you can just add them. You can also target around your own business. You can see if I click in here, it'll say Google My Business and then target. What that'll do is it'll take my Google My Business profile, my Maps profile, and target 5 kilometers around my business. So here, if I say yes to Google My Business, you can see the pin will show exactly where I am, and it'll target 5 kilometers around my location here. Because my business profile is connected to my AdWords. If you don't see that option when you click in here, it just means that your Google My Business profile is not connected to your Google Ads. Okay, and then 20 kilometers around my business, you'll see the circles will get bigger, and so on and so on. So that's basically how you add the locations. Now, later on, you can do PioEye targeting. So as an example, if you want to be around an airport, simply type in the airport. Our airport is OR Tambo. Make sure it's on kilometers and target. So there's your 20 kilometers around OR Tambo. You can basically type in almost anyone else's business. So this is really good with competition. So if my competition is Fourways Mall or something like that, you can type in 4 Ways Mall and target around your competition. So if you know who they are and they're on Google My Business, they have a Maps profile, you can actually just type in your competitors and put little bubbles around them and target your competitors. So really good for competitor targeting. It's quite nice because you can get all the way down to just the competitor. So you can even say 1 kilometer, type the competitor's name in, and then so if the competitor is Fury Ford, who's close by, there we go, Fury Ford, you can target right around their location. So there's a whole bunch of targeting options. The POIs are good. The POIs are points of interest, but they're also businesses that you can target. Just so long as they have a Maps profile, you can target them. Once you've finished, you can click Save. You'll see that there's a little reach number. That's just telling you estimated a number of users in that area, not estimated a number of users that are interested in your product. So what you don't want to think is, okay, I'm going to get 362,000 people. Well, that's 2,000 people in total, not people that are typing your keywords. So don't get that confused. That's just everyone typing for the certain area. Estimated reaches for the area. You'll see there's also little question marks. If you're not too sure how Google works out that reach completely, you can just go on to the Learn More there and check out what Google's saying for that. You'll see these question marks throughout the interface in Google AdWords. Now, we also make it easy for you, where I've created an ad regions template, which I'm going to show you. So this is when you want to bulk add. So you know exactly what your target is. I'm going to take them all out again. You say, I want to target Gauteng and every single little town in Gauteng. So I'm going to go to the regions template here, which I'm going to provide you. Click on Gauteng at the bottom. Copy all the regions from top to bottom. Go back to my ads. Click in Advanced. And you'll see there's a little tick box here for bulk, where you can add bulk regions. Tick on that, paste, and then search. There's a target all at the top, and that now gives me every single little town in Gauteng divided into their little subregions so that you can get statistics on those subregions. Be careful with your excludes, they're still in here. So if you do want to include Midrand, you'll probably have to add it in again. Okay, now Midrand is back. So that's the basics of targeting. Why you want to target something close to you. The wider your reach, in other words, if you're targeting the whole of South Africa, as an example, your conversions won't be as high. If you're targeting just Gauteng, you're getting much better conversion rates. And if you are retail and have a physical location, if you're targeting right around your location, yes, there's not as many people, but your chances of getting a conversion close to you is much, much higher. So just keep that in mind. I've just got a question coming in. Just give me a second. Go for it, Clint. Yes, of course. Okay, so Clint's question is, if you're targeting an app, is it a good idea to target locations around a certain area? So the answer is no, because it's an app, you could be anywhere, but later on, so what you want to do is you want to start with a broader reach. You want to do the South Africa, the Western Cape, basically as much as you can within South Africa. Then once your ads run, it's going to show you under the locations option how much that particular area is triggering on your clicks and impressions. So then you can come in and say, okay, I want to now define it. So if this says that you're getting most of your clicks in a certain area, then you can decide, okay, I want to keep that area. You also want to look at the performance of it. So if you got a lot of clicks coming in and no conversions, then that area might not be so good. So if your app downloads are being counted over here under conversions, and Alberton is coming in with only 10 clicks but 5 downloads, then that's a good one to keep. If it has 4,000 clicks and no downloads, yes, you're getting exposure, but you're not getting downloads. So there are some instances where you want to target broad, like apps, first, and then define it later once the downloads start to come in. You can start to turn off certain areas or turn down certain areas that you don't want targeting for. Yes, and if you want to target every single province, you can use the same template. I've got most of the South African ones here, and it keeps on going. I've got some of the African countries, USA, UK. It's all available in the sheet down below. Okay, so that's the basics of targeting in the ads. Just keep in mind that sometimes, it is rare, but sometimes when you target certain towns or countries, that suburb exists in another country. As an example, there's a Johannesburg in Nebraska. So when you're typing in Johannesburg, just make sure you added the right one, not the one that's overseas in Nebraska, and just be careful of that. In your ads, you're going to notice there's also under the settings, when you're setting up a campaign, you can go to additional settings, and we go to our locations. There's an advanced, there's a more locations option at the bottom. So the way that Google targets locations is very specific. You can see that by default it says people in or show interest in your target location. So a lot of people will say, okay, I've put Johannesburg in as my target location. Why is somebody in the USA seeing my ads? Well, it's quite simple. The person is showing interest in your location. So if they say bed and breakfast Johannesburg and they're sitting in the UK, they will see your ad because they're showing interest in your target location. So if you don't want that to happen, then you want to choose the option that says people in or regularly in your actual location, or people searching for your target location. You don't want to use that option ever, unless you travel. If you travel, there is a good chance, or something like car rental, that the person is likely sitting in another city. So yes, you want to target people searching for your target location for that one. There is a new, this has changed recently, actually a couple of weeks old. People in or regularly in your target location. Now, this is quite nice. If you're not too sure, if you go to Google and you type in a search query, and you're logged in. Okay, so make sure you're logged in. If you go to the bottom, you see this little location here at the bottom. It says Northcott Santon. That's where I'm sitting. So that applies to me as a user. It's generally where you are sitting at the time or where you're mostly going to be. In other words, if you're always in Douglasdale during the day, then Google's going to see you as a Douglasdale person. Even if you go home at night, you're still going to see Douglasdale stuff because Google associates you with that particular location, and that's how Google will determine whether or not to show you the ads. So if you work in one location and you live in another location, then you'll be able to Google will see you as both locations sometimes, and Google will target you accordingly. Okay. Clint, you're muted if you want to say something. Okay. Okay. And that concludes our session on how to target locations in Google Ads. Any more questions from the floor? No. Okay, cool. You guys can catch me afterwards, and I'll see you next time in the next section. Please make sure you subscribe and sign up for a membership. We have these live sessions every second week, as well as a few videos in between. Thanks for watching.